My name is Benjamin Nowak, for those of you that don't know me, and today I'm going to talk about blade baiting.
Staring at those city lights, had some ugly days to get some pretty nights. Cut some people off, dreams take a sacrifice. Yeah, they want to make it, but can never pay the price.
Blade baiting is, in my opinion, one of, if not the best, cold water or wintertime technique to catch largemouth, smallmouth, and spotted bass. And I've never caught a spotted bass, but I have to believe that this technique would work for those big spots as well. When I say cold water, understand that cold water is relative. Up here in the north, I throw a blade bait when that water temp is 55 degrees or below. That is what I consider wintertime period, and that goes in the spring too. When that water is 55 degrees or below, I'm going to be throwing this blade for those big springtime winter fish. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, I am pouring and selling my custom blade baits, the blade baits that I go to the water with and catch a lot of big fish on. And the reason I'm doing this is basically twofold. It's a great way for you guys to support me and my channel, but also, if you've ever fished a blade bait before, you know how expensive it can be. Typical blades on the market are between $4 and $8. The Silver Buddy goes for about $8. My blade without hooks is going to be selling for $3. With hooks, you're going to be able to buy it for $4.50. If you guys want to buy some of my blades, I'm selling them in the gold with silver head or the all silver blade currently. You can go to brnowakfishing.com/shop. The link will be at the top of the description below. So go over there if you want to get yourself some cheap but inexpensive but very high quality blades. And if you get them with the hooks, they're going to be Owner ST36 hooks, some of the best hooks currently on the market. With that said, I'm going to talk to you guys quickly about my setup, and then I'm going to take you to the water and have my buddy Nathan talk to you guys about how he's fishing this bait to put some giant smallmouth in the boat. The rod reel line setup that I have is kind of unique, but it's extremely important for fishing this bait effectively. I am throwing this on a spinning rod. This is an Arc Invoker 7-1 medium power rod, extra fast action. Now, the extra fast action, in my opinion, is very important. The thing about a blade is you want to be able to lift this bait just barely off the bottom, and with the extra fast tip, you can feel that bait activate very quickly. Also, a lot of the bites come when the bait is sitting on the bottom or when that bait is lowering back down to the bottom. So having the extra fast tip is going to give you that added sensitivity to feel that bite when your bait's just sitting there or it's falling back down. Why I'm throwing it on a spinning rod is a couple of different reasons. One, when it's cold outside, especially here in Michigan, your guides are going to ice up. I went out fishing 2 weeks ago. Air temp was 9 degrees, water temp was 40 degrees, and my guides were icing up constantly. If you were to throw this on a bait casting rod, you're going to have your guides ice up every 2 seconds, every other crank of the handle. Throwing it on a spinning rod, you have bigger guides, so your line's going to come through more effectively. Also, you can make longer casts with a spinning rod with 15-pound braid. So with this braid, with a heavy lure, a 1/2 or 5/8 ounce are the only two sizes that I fish. You can make long casts, keep that bait on the bottom longer, and basically put this bait in front of more fish. Also, you're going to get a little bit more sensitivity out of a spinning rod just because how it works. With the guides facing down, your line is always in contact with these guides. You're going to have more sensitivity. I also fish it on braid, fishing it on 15-pound. This is red braid. I like that braid because it adds sensitivity. It's also going to allow you to feel this bait better. So as soon as it starts vibrating, you're going to know that you can basically let that bait go back down to the bottom. If you were fishing this on a bait caster with 12 or 14-pound fluorocarbon line, you're not going to be able to feel that bait activate as quickly. One, because that diameter of the line is a little bit bigger, you're basically putting more resistance in front of this blade, so this blade is not activating or starting to vibrate as quickly. With thinner diameter line, with braid, you're going to feel that bait activate more quickly, basically be able to keep it along the bottom more effectively. That's just a quick overview of my setup. And if you guys have any questions or comments about the setup that I'm using or any of the things that I just talked about, let me know in the description below. And I'm going to take you to the water now with Nathan to explain how he's fishing this bait to put these big fish in the boat.
We're out here on the Great Lakes throwing blade baits for smallmouth, and this time of year when the water gets colder, it's one of my favorite ways to fish. You can fish real slow, methodical, or you can kind of trigger a reaction bite with it. Because what you're really looking for this time of year is these fish are hanging tight to the bottom. The water temp today is 40 degrees. We were out yesterday catching them on blades and it was 44 to 45. So these fish are tight to the bottom. They're not real active. They're kind of lethargic. And so you want to trigger that reaction bite without moving too much. When you're throwing a blade, what you want to do, whatever area you're fishing, whether it's drop-offs, flats, whatever your fish are keying on this time of year, you want to make a nice long cast, throw it out. I like a spinning rod. This is a 7-foot medium power St. Croix, fast action. And what that 7-footer does, gives you a nice length to not only cast far, but be able to move the bait when you're fishing in this deeper water. And then I like a light braid. Some people like straight fluorocarbon, but I throw a 15-pound Power Pro to a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. And basically what you're doing is when you fish, when you catch a fish, ooh, that's a big one. You want, oh. Okay. One of the problems with throwing a blade bait is if you're not paying attention, they'll hit it on the fall and you'll lose one like that. So usually what I like to do when I make a long cast like that is as soon as the bait hits the water, almost like you're fishing a buzz bait, pick up your slack, give the bait a little rip to make sure that it's not fouled up, and then let it sink all the way to the bottom. Once you're on bottom, pick up your slack, and then just light little hops. You're not ripping it like this, you're not snapping it crazy, because like I said, these fish this time of year, they aren't real active. So what you want to picture is you're trying not to lift the bait off the bottom, but you want to get that little bit of flutter from the blade. And that's where that thin blade comes in handy, because you can initiate that action quicker without lifting it too far off the bottom. And then just little hops all the way back to the boat. And what's really key is you want to maintain just enough slack so that your bait falls straight down. You don't want to drag it towards you. You don't want to keep it on a tight line, because you'll pull that bait away from the fish. Some people like a bait caster with heavier fluorocarbon, but I like this lighter line because of less drag. You can cast further, and it initiates the action quicker. And along with that, you know, you're fishing light size 6 treble hooks, you know, light line. You don't want to put a ton of pressure on the fish. You're basically just grinding them in real slow, keeping pressure and letting them kind of play themselves out. So when I'm throwing these blade baits, I like about, I mean, pretty much standard for me is a 5/8. You can go up to 3/4 if you want, even down to 1/2 ounce. But with this 5/8, what you're getting is constant bottom contact. You can really feel your bait working through rocks or whatever's on the bottom. And even in windy conditions, you can still feel what that bait's doing. So if you get a light bite or whatever and you're fishing in the wind and your hands are cold already, you want to be able to feel that bait and catch those fish. Oh, that's big, dude. That's a giant, dude. Oh, nice. He's not as big as I thought, but that's still a good one. Oh, came off. Came off in the net. Guys, every time we talk about moving or leaving a spot.
So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned how to fish a blade bait. And if you haven't yet, please go pick some blade baits up, because fishing a blade bait is a great way to put those big wintertime cold water fish in the boat. It's a great way to catch a lot of giants, especially when a lot of other lures aren't working. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section below. I respond and interact with every single comment that I get, as long as it's positive. And check out some of my sponsors. Go click on those links, check out their products, because they're products that I believe in and use day in and day out. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the support you guys have shown me. I've just reached 8,000 subscribers, which is amazing. It's a huge milestone, and I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. So Thank you for watching. Take care, tight lines. God bless. Pursue your passion.